There is a rule in royal families. Great heirlooms are never gifted, they are only loaned. But history knows its exceptions. Sometimes monarchs and their families allowed themselves bouts of generosity, and then divorce changed the fate not only of a marriage, but of the jewels themselves. Some women kept their wedding treasures and wore them in their new lives. Others put entire collections up for auction. And sometimes, jewels considered part of a dynasty left royal hands forever. Today, I invite you on a journey through royal halls and family archives, where behind the sparkle of wedding celebrations, complex decisions about the fate of jewelry were often made. In some cases, these were historic tiaras. In others, lavish personal gifts that continued their stories beyond the marriage. These histories evoke generosity, regret, and the most unexpected twists, and the most amazing details are still ahead. To understand how royal jewels survive a divorce, we must travel to the heart of power and passion in the early 19th century, to the story of Napoleon Bonaparte and Empress Josephine. Their passionate and ultimately tragic union created not only an empire, but a jewelry collection so legendary that many of its pieces are still worn by modern royals today. Their story is the perfect place to begin, as it provides a fascinating historical example of how jewels, given in love, can outlive the marriage itself and embark on their own incredible journeys. Napoleon Bonaparte and Josephine de Beauharnais shared a romance that was as intense as it was legendary. Their relationship combined Josephine's sophisticated charm with Napoleon's rising star and ambitions. From the very outset, Napoleon was unusually generous. Among the treasures he lavished on Josephine were some of the most iconic jewels of the age, gifts meant to mark her as empress and to proclaim his own power and affection. Yet their happiness was not to last. When their marriage ended in a highly publicized divorce, it did not result in the return of these magnificent presents to the imperial treasury. Instead, Josephine retained a significant collection of jewels. Among the treasures Josephine kept, 3 jewels in particular tell remarkable stories. First, his very first gift to Josephine, an 18th century toi et moi, you and me, engagement ring, brilliantly pairing a blue sapphire and a diamond. It was nothing ostentatious, at least by their future standards, but it was a meaningful splurge for a young general of little fortune. Josephine cherished it all her life, so much so that it remained in her personal jewelry casket even after their marriage ended. In fact, when this modest ring resurfaced at auction, its provenance alone propelled it to a price almost 50 times its market estimate, proving that in royal love stories, emotional value often outshines carat weight. Second, there was the spectacular diamond tiara, composed of 1,040 diamonds totaling 260 carats. Its history is a saga in its own right. After Josephine's death, the tiara was partially dismantled, sold, and later reassembled with new elements. It was eventually acquired by the renowned jeweler Van Cleef and Arpels, who famously loaned it to Princess Grace of Monaco and other aristocratic ladies. It's a perfect example of the complex and tangled journey a single royal jewel can take through history. And third, a jewel that still graces royal events today, the legendary cameo tiara, a masterpiece of French craftsmanship combining intricately carved cameos and gold. Like the others, this tiara remained with Josephine after the divorce and was later passed down to her granddaughter, who took it north to Sweden upon her marriage into the royal family. Over the generations, the cameo parure became a cherished part of Swedish royal tradition. To this day, it dazzles at Nobel Prize banquets and royal weddings, worn by queens and princesses and admired by new generations. It stands as a testament not only to exquisite craftsmanship, but also to the unpredictable journeys of love and history. If you love stories that sparkle with both fairy tale and reality, the union of Alexandra Manly and Prince Joachim of Denmark is sure to capture your attention. Their meeting in cosmopolitan Hong Kong wandered far from royal convention. Alexandra, a brilliant professional of mixed Chinese and British ancestry, and Joachim, the adventurous younger son of Queen Margrethe II, were introduced at a private dinner. Their romance blossomed quickly, a blend of international flair and classic royal tradition, culminating in a breathtaking proposal on the Philippines, sealed with a diamond and ruby ring set in yellow gold, as vibrant as Alexandra's own heritage. The Danish court could hardly contain the excitement. Their 1995 wedding at Frederiksborg Castle unfolded like a true modern fairy tale. Alexandra, stunning in a bespoke Jorgen Bender gown, carried a bouquet adorned with bauhinia, the flower of Hong Kong. She stood amid a dazzling assembly of European royalty, but it was the tiara on her head that truly lit up the occasion, a gift of rare significance. Few royal treasures carry such resonance as Queen Alexandrine's diamond drop tiara. Created around 1912, this dazzling piece features a series of graceful arches, each lined with briolette-cut diamonds that shimmer like drops of morning dew. The tiara was originally presented by King Christian X to his wife, Queen Alexandrine, likely to commemorate their accession to the Danish throne. Although Queen Alexandrine wore the tiara during significant events of her reign, she was never photographed in it, adding to the aura of royal mystery that surrounds the jewel. Upon Queen Alexandrine's passing in 1952, the tiara was inherited by her elder son, King Frederick IX. In a tradition of marking adulthood and dynastic continuity, King Frederick presented the tiara to his daughter, Princess Margrethe, on her 18th birthday in 1958. Margrethe, who would later become Queen Margrethe II, wore the tiara at numerous official banquets, both before and after her accession, making it one of her most emblematic jewels. For a decade, Alexandra wore the tiara to high state banquets and family celebrations, earning the public's admiration. However, real life came knocking. Even a royal romance can feel the pressures of duty and distance. Pressures mounted, the couple's paths diverged. And so in 2005, the Danish royal family did something it hadn't done in 159 years. They announced a divorce. The news swept through Denmark, carrying with it both sadness and respect. For the first time since 1846, royal marriage vows would be set aside. The Danish court never officially disclosed the reasons for Alexandra and Prince Joachim's separation, preserving their dignity and privacy. What is known is that, after a period marked by separate lives and evolving circumstances, the couple decided to dissolve their marriage. The fact that the tiara remained with Alexandra should not cause surprise. After all, it was a wedding present, given personally by Queen Margrethe. However, in hindsight, the divorce made it clear that Margrethe's generosity was perhaps greater than tradition would have advised, inadvertently allowing a significant royal heirloom to pass out of the main line. Fairy tales sometimes leave lessons behind, and after Alexandra's unprecedented story, the Danish royal family quickly adjusted course. Something changed in the castle corridors. The age-old generosity gave way to a new prudence. No more gifting of grand heirlooms forever, no matter how alluring the romance. From now on, jewels wouldn't leave the royal vaults so easily. When Prince Joachim remarried, to the elegant French-born Marie, the contrast with the first royal wedding was immediately apparent. Instead of receiving a family tiara as her own, Marie was offered the impressive Dagmar tiara strictly as a long-term loan. This dazzling piece, with its intricate lines and glowing diamonds, became her hallmark at state banquets. But its destiny was clear. It would remain Danish, whatever life might bring. The historic Alexandrine sapphire brooch and the sapphire tiara followed the same path, all strictly for ceremonial use, never outright gifts. One could say the jewels swapped personal dreams for institutional memory. Now, with every gala, Marie appears radiant in the Dagmar tiara's icy brilliance, but there's an invisible thread tying her and the audience to that careful new chapter, a lesson learned by a queen about balancing legacy and love. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes what's truly precious isn't just what sparkles on the outside, but the memories and traditions carefully guarded within. Let's travel back to July 1986, a summer of royal excitement and global anticipation. When Sarah Ferguson, cheerful and flame-haired, arrived at Westminster Abbey to marry Prince Andrew, the world was watching. There's a delightful little detail that still fascinates many jewel lovers. When Sarah stepped into the Abbey, her veil was crowned not by a blaze of diamonds, but by a huge wreath of gardenias. The tiara everyone expected was hidden. For most of the ceremony, the York diamond tiara, a new royal treasure, was out of sight, concealed until the signing of the register. Only then was the floral crown whisked away, and there it was. Sarah now sparkled officially as Her Royal Highness the Duchess of York, the tiara glimmering at last. Wasn't that a particularly theatrical gesture for a royal wedding? Maybe you too recall watching that moment and waiting for the big reveal. The York tiara itself holds a unique spot in royal jewel history. Commissioned from Garrard, it was a personal wedding gift from Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip to their new daughter-in-law. Unlike most royal brides who simply borrowed tiaras for the day, Sarah's was hers to keep, a rare decision even then. The tiara's design, with its elegant scrolls and prominent central diamond, looks classic and yet has that fresh, upbeat air that suited the young Duchess so well. Some say it's that combination, sentimental value and bold beauty, that's kept this piece so endlessly discussed. Sarah wore the tiara again and again through the height of her royal life. From sparkling state banquets to overseas tours, Canada, Saudi Arabia, you name it. The York tiara was always there, anchoring her look and broadcasting her place in the family. If you browse through 1980s and 1990s photos, you'll spot the tiara at many glamorous moments. At Claridge's, beside Queen Elizabeth, in shimmering evening dresses. A proud duchess who finally had her own royal sparkler. I find the clean yet floral motif appealing, a bit more playful and approachable than some of the grander, older family heirlooms. Of course, not all that glitters is serene. As you know, Sarah and Andrew's marriage eventually hit turbulence. Separation came in the early 1990s, and by 1996, the fairy tale had ended in divorce. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Who gets the tiara? Many assumed it would quietly return to the royal vaults, like so many jewels before. There were rumors, even tabloid headlines, suggesting the tiara might be sold to pay debts or vanish into a private collection. But that never happened. In a break with tradition, Sarah retained personal ownership of the York tiara after the divorce, marking another departure from the usual royal path. She continued, albeit more discreetly, to wear it for special white tie events, like Elton John's white tie and tiara ball in 2001. This leads us to a wonderful flash forward to 2023. The York tiara, after years out of the public eye, made an unexpected return, a real pass-the-baton moment. Sarah's elder daughter, Princess Beatrice, wore this very tiara at the wedding banquet of Crown Prince Hussein and Princess Rajwa in Amman. The sight of the tiara gleaming atop her daughter's head in a new royal setting sparked fresh waves of discussion. What a journey for a jewel. The York tiara is notable for another reason. It remains, to this day, the last piece of royal jewelry personally gifted by a reigning monarch and consort to a new royal bride. After Sarah and Andrew's divorce, this tradition changed for good. No such personal tiara gifts have been made for royal weddings since then. Instead, newer brides have borrowed tiaras from the family vaults, returning them after the celebrations. The story of the York tiara prompts a fascinating question for all royal watchers and jewel lovers. Is it better for royal jewels to remain living treasures, appearing over generations at state banquets and family milestones? Or was the grandeur of gifting brand new tiaras to brides worth the expense and the risk of jewels eventually leaving royal hands? Let's pause for a moment and linger over one of the most instructive and, yes, fascinating examples of balancing tradition and individuality in royal jewelry, the story of Princess Diana and her jewels. Diana and Charles met when Diana was still a teenager. He was dating her older sister Sarah. Their romance began later, officially blossoming in 1980. Charles, the world's most eligible bachelor, and Diana, a shy but charismatic woman, quickly became the focus of global attention. Their wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral in 1981 was a spectacle like no other. 3,500 guests, a record-breaking train, and a live television audience counted in the hundreds of millions. But as often happens, the fairy tale blurred at the edges. Joy gave way to distance, and cracks formed beneath the surface of public appearances. The couple separated in 1992, their divorce finalized in 1996. When Diana entered the royal family, she wasn't showered with family heirlooms to own outright. Quite the opposite. Many of the most significant jewels she wore were only hers on loan. This is especially clear with the beautiful lover's knot tiara, or as many remember it, that dazzling tiara with swinging pearl drops and diamond knots. The tiara belonged to the Queen, who lent it to Diana for state events and banquets. She wore it often, and many today closely associate it with her image, but after the divorce, Diana respectfully returned the tiara to the royal vault. But the royal family, true to their careful approach, did give Diana personal jewelry she could call her own. These pieces are now woven into the story of her life, and later, the lives of her sons. Let's linger on a few highlights. The legendary sapphire engagement ring, oval Ceylon sapphire encircled by 14 diamonds gleaming on Diana's finger during her engagement photo call with Prince Charles. She chose it herself, and after her death, the ring passed on to Prince William, who famously proposed to Catherine Middleton with it. It's a piece steeped in memory and emotion, still worn today. The Saudi Sapphire Suite, another unforgettable gift. This was a showstopper, a suite given by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia as a wedding present. The set included a dramatic pendant necklace, matching earrings and ring, a diamond bracelet, even a diamond and sapphire watch. Diana wore the pieces in various combinations, and out of all her jewels, the sapphires remained distinctly hers, even after the end of her marriage, and are now in her son's private family collection. Perhaps my personal favorite detail, the large sapphire and diamond brooch gifted by the Queen Mother. Diana transformed this stately brooch into the clasp of her iconic 7-strand pearl choker. That necklace became a hallmark of her evening style. Think of her dancing with John Travolta at the White House, or her unforgettable revenge dress moment. Now, for just a moment, let's touch on another famous piece, the Spencer tiara. On her wedding day, Diana didn't wear a tiara borrowed from the Queen, but her own family's Spencer tiara, a light floral design, heirloom of her ancestral house. This delicate detail surprises many. The tiara Diana wore at the royal wedding actually belonged to the Spencers, not the Windsors. All these jewels frame the story of Diana herself, and of the royal family's measured approach. Let's talk about one of the most fascinating royal stories of the 20th century, Princess Muna al-Hussein of Jordan, born Antoinette Tony Gardner. Her path is unlike most. She moved from British civilian life straight into the heart of a Middle Eastern monarchy, and quite incredibly, even after divorce, kept not just her title but also her splendid jewels. The story begins in 1961 on the film set of Lawrence of Arabia, where young Tony Gardner, a British Army officer's daughter, met King Hussein of Jordan. Can you imagine? She arrived in Jordan for work and a handful of months later became a royal bride? After converting to Islam and taking the name Muna, she and King Hussein wed in Amman. Their married years looked picture perfect, or almost so. Speaking only English at home, raising 4 children, including the future King Abdullah II, and taking on public roles in Jordan, Muna quickly embraced her new life and responsibilities. But behind the palace walls, life was more complicated. Husbands and wives sometimes grow apart. Perhaps you've seen this story play out too. After more than a decade, the fairy tale ended. In 1972, Muna and Hussein quietly divorced. While the king swiftly remarried, something remarkable happened. Muna was allowed to keep her royal status, remaining Princess Muna, and staying close to her children in Jordan. Unlike so many royal divorces, where every tiara and necklace is whisked away into vaults, Princess Muna kept her fabulous collection of jewels. Let's take a closer look. First, her diamond tiara. a beautiful antique piece set with large diamonds, acquired by King Hussein around 1961 just for her. She wore it to grand balls, like the wedding of King Constantine of Greece and Princess Anne-Marie of Denmark in 1964, and it was a recurring companion at state banquets, including the extravagant celebrations in Persepolis, Iran. The same goes for her distinctive pearl and diamond tiara, whose origins remain a bit of a mystery. It made rare but significant appearances, notably in London in 1966, and again, half a century later, at her grandson's royal wedding in 2023. Muna also possessed a versatile diamond fringe necklace, worn as both necklace and tiara at various gala events. And, though not as visible lately, a beautiful diamond necklace, first seen at her 1961 wedding. Instead of fading from view after her divorce, Princess Muna took on a devoted role as mother, championed nursing and healthcare in Jordan, and kept a dignified public presence. She never remarried, and thanks to her enduring position in the royal family, continued to wear her jewels at grand occasions, including appearing in them at the wedding of her grandson and the king's Silver Jubilee portraits as late as 2025. You know, if you ask any connoisseur of royal jewels about the most dramatic fate to befall a titled lady's collection, sooner or later the conversation will lead us to Begum Salima Aga Khan, and a moment that shook Geneva's auction halls and the centuries-old traditions of royal discretion. So pour yourself a cup of tea. I've been wanting to tell someone this story for ages. Let's begin in the glimmering world where East met West. When Sarah Frances Croker Poole, an English debutante and top fashion model, married Karim Aga Khan IV, her life seemed woven from silk and diamonds. The wedding itself was a Paris affair, both civil and Islamic. Not only did she embrace a new faith and a regal title, but she stepped into a life swirling with gala evenings, charity balls, luxury, and of course, truly remarkable jewels. Her jewelry casket over the next 25 years became a modern legend. Exclusive Cartier, Van Cleef and Arpels, Boucheron, Harry Winston. The biggest names worked to create masterpieces just for her. These weren't mere gifts. They were expressions of art, wealth, and mutual admiration. Picture a necklace set with the rare Begum blue diamond, heart-shaped, deep blue, 13.78 carats, surrounded by over 40 more heart-shaped diamonds. But life in palaces, as we know, isn't always a perpetual ball. After more than 2 decades, the fairy tale dimmed. When the marriage unraveled, the settlement was as magnificent as the union itself. Reports spoke of a financial sum and, crucially, more than 250 pieces of exceptional jewelry. And here comes our first little twist. What would you do if you suddenly found yourself in possession of a small kingdom's worth of diamonds? Salima held on to her treasures, and for a while it seemed like this chapter might close quietly, with heirlooms resting unseen in velvet boxes. But, as you might guess, that wasn't the end. In 1995, barely months after the divorce, an extraordinary announcement from Christie's in Geneva made jewelers and collectors catch their breath. Princess Salima Aga Khan's entire collection was to go under the hammer. Not everyone approved. The Aga Khan, one of the world's richest men and a spiritual leader to millions, mounted a fierce legal campaign to halt the sale. His lawyers argued that, according to the divorce agreement, most pieces should remain in the family, or at least be offered to him first. The courtrooms buzzed, hundreds of journalists, whispers of family honor, and questions of what constitutes personal property when your life is half fairy tale, half public spectacle. What do you think? Should jewels given in marriage return to the family or stay with the woman who wore them? There's no simple answer, and this case proved it. For a brief time, it even looked like the sale might be stopped. Some lots were pulled as a compromise and quietly sold back to the Aga Khan himself. But the main event was unstoppable. The Geneva Appeals Court ruled in favor of Princess Salima. In November 1995, over 250 pieces crossed the Christie's auction block, an auctioneer's gavel echoing where once there had been the clink of champagne flutes and the strains of ballroom music. This was no ordinary sale. The press called it the most sumptuous jewelry collection to appear since the Duchess of Windsor's jewels in 1987. Among the gems, that spectacular Begum blue diamond necklace, intricate Mughal Indian pieces, Bucalati's craftsmanship, Van Cleef's carved emeralds, and so much more. Some jewels came from her own grandmother's, others had been carefully commissioned as tokens of love and prestige. Here's a miniature did you know to savor. Only 23 lots, worth under £150,000, were withdrawn and sold privately to the Aga Khan. The rest left the safe forever. The final tally? The auction raised about $27.6 million. Then a world record for a single-owner jewel collection. It's hard to picture, isn't it? The scale of that gleaming parade, each piece emerging for the world to see, to covet, to bid for a slice of history. Time moves on, but this sale remains a rarity, a sparkling moment when personal legacy, family drama, and public spectacle all collided under the bright lights of Geneva, setting a precedent for what a true princess can really do with a casket full of history. Would you have been brave enough to let it all go? Or would you have kept your treasures locked away? Such stories rarely repeat themselves, which is partly why the legend of Princess Saloma's auction continues to captivate jewel lovers everywhere. Each of these stories is a reminder. Love may come to an end, but the fate of royal jewels often outlives every marriage. Sometimes this means a rare loss of a historic tiara, like in Denmark. In other cases, personal gifts continued their journeys with women who went through a royal divorce, carrying their own stories and legacies forward. That's why today, many royal houses are becoming more cautious, opting for long-term loans of heirlooms rather than irreversible gifts. This doesn't diminish the sparkle of weddings, but it does help preserve heritage for future generations. I have to admit, of all these cases, I feel most strongly about the Alexandrine diamond drop tiara. While it was a personal wedding gift and Countess Alexandra legally owns it, I still hope, someday, the tiara will return to the Danish royal family. Perhaps Countess Alexandra will choose to give it back, or maybe it will go to one of her sons. Some jewelry experts have even speculated that, in time, a member of the Danish royal house might negotiate to buy the tiara from Alexandra, bringing it back to the main collection. What do you think? Do you believe the Alexandrine tiara will ever return to the Danish vaults? And which story touched you most? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these sparkling histories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you won't miss the next royal jewelry deep dive. Your thoughts in the comments mean a lot. I always read them and love hearing your opinions. See you soon for more tales of legendary jewels.